Do you think Jameis Winston could still be a quality starter in the NFL?
Yeah, I do believe that. Even though he's in my mind, my reigning defensive player of the year. The first time a quarterback was reigning defensive player of the year, in my mind, not officially, of course, but you throw 30 interceptions. That's pretty damn bad. That's pretty good for a defense, pretty damn bad for you as a quarterback. Having said all of that, I'm going to say this. The man still threw for over 5,100 yards, 5,109 to be exact. He threw for 33 touchdowns. You can't do that if you can't play the quarterback position. And by default alone, you could say he could be a potential quality quarterback in the National Football League. I mean, let's just look around the league right now. I mean, the Giants, we got Daniel Jones now, but Eli Manning was around the last 2 years. The Washington Redskins still struggling to find a quarterback, even though they've placed their faith in Dwayne Haskins. We look at teams, whether it's Jacksonville. I don't even know who the hell is quarterbacking in Denver. You got Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. You had Andy Dalton in Cincinnati, even though Andy Dalton at one time was better than he's perceived as being at this particular moment in time. The list goes on and on throughout the National Football League, where you have quarterbacks that Jameis Winston could give them a run for their money, or dare I say, be even better than they've been. Obviously, he's got to cut down on those mistakes, and we understand that. But to look at a guy that's thrown for 5,109 yards and to say that he can't be a starter in this league, a quality starter, I'd beg to differ. Can he be an all-pro? Can he be elite? That obviously is something entirely different. But there ain't too many of those on the National Football League level anyway. So by default, your contemporaries looking around the National Football League, I think you can make an argument he could be a quality starter for various teams throughout the National Football League.
I disagree. It's possible, Stephen A., that in a good year, he's going to have a lot of negative plays. He's the kind of guy who can balance that out at times with a lot of positive plays because he's a feast or famine style quarterback. And so if you're lucky and you give him enough years to start, one or two may be good years because he hit on some big plays. You know, he'll still make bad decisions because you don't go from giving the other team 112 yards, here's a free 112 yards, to make, eliminating enough of those to not be considered a guy who makes a lot of bad decisions. That's really difficult to do, but you can, based on the weapons you have around you, based on a little luck, maybe have some more big-time plays. And so if you're willing to give him enough reps, yeah, you can come up with a season or two where you say, oh, that's a good season. But who wants to do that, Stephen A.? Who wants to install Jameis Winston as their quarterback and say, well, there's a quality starter? I mean, a team with nothing to lose, maybe, who says, boy, we're going to be rebuilding for the next several years, and so if we're no good, okay, whatever, and maybe we'll get a good season out of them. That's the only real scenario I could see, because at this point, we know what Jameis Winston is. He's a guy with a big arm who makes a ton of bad decisions.
And I'm saying, and my argument with that, Max, is that there are 10 to 12 teams in the National Football League that you can legitimately say who the hell would want them. So again, you can sit up there and say by default, which is what I articulated. By default, Jameis Winston can start for various teams, a third of the teams in the National Football League at the very least, because of what I'm talking about. When you look around the National Football League, I don't get me wrong, there ain't a lot of guys that would throw for 30 interceptions, but there's a whole bunch of guys that can't throw for 5,000 yards either.
Yeah, what I'm saying about the 30 interceptions, I want to pick up right there, Stephen A., is the reason a lot of guys won't throw for 30 interceptions is because they wouldn't be given the chance to. They wouldn't be given the chance to stick around. Once they get to 25 interceptions, right, they're not going to be starting. But Jameis, because of the upside, has been given that chance. But we see what happens when you give him that chance now. Like, we've already seen that. So at this point in his career, he's going to have to show the ability to cut down on the bad ideas. But he hasn't shown that ability, and that's the issue. We've even seen a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's a really good backup and can start for the right team at times. You watch him run that Bucs offense a couple years ago, yeah, that's better than Jameis. Right? I just don't see him holding a starter's job.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.